today. What have you to say about the massive solidarity support that you have received today from the people? I reckon you must have gotten a feedback about how people have gone all over town saying it's you or nobody else.
Well, it is very gratifying. I've always known that the events of the last few weeks have, in fact, enabled people to make up their mind a lot more firmly. In fact, it has increased tremendously the public support that I have in the country. Nigerians are ready for democracy. Nigeria have elected their president, and Nigerians are not prepared to go for another election. The truth of the matter is that you do not have two sunrises in one day. Even in Africa, the sun rises only once a day, and that is the way it is. The people have made it very clear that that is what they want. And I'm sure the purpose is to let government know that the people are very serious in what they are saying.
Do you have any fears that some members of the SDP might give in to the new political arrangement that is being proposed?
There's nothing like that. You see, given to what? What would they give in to? There's nothing to give in to. The election was pronounced fair, free, fair, and peaceful by the international observers and by the government-owned observers themselves. So what is there to give in to? As a matter of fact, they do not see any reason to prolong the democratic process anymore. And the SDP as a party is very clear. The executive committee made it very clear last week. The meeting in Benin too has made it very, very clear, even doubly clear, that there's no question of the party going back. To go back is to tell the Nigerian people that we are not a serious party. We are a very serious party. There are, we understand, a few officers who are not happy about the result of the election. But a few officers cannot be more important than the generality of Nigerian people. 14 million Nigerian people voted in the last election, more than voted at the National Assembly election. And as a proportion, probably more than have voted in the United States election, presidential election. So that in itself is a massive mandate. And I have 58.9% of the votes. I won in 20 states, and I won the 1/3 of the votes in 28 out of 30 states, and at the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja. There's nothing else.
Do you think the president will backpedal?
Well, it's not a matter of backpedaling. It's a matter of a misunderstanding. He was not accurately informed. For example, there were talks about bribes there were allegations of bribery to NEC. I've already said anybody with proof of that allegation should go to court. Bribery of an electoral officer, of a public officer, is an offense, is really a felony under the law of Nigeria. The matter should be taken to a criminal court. And secondly, there were allegations that the turnout was low. That has been debunked. There were more voters during the presidential election than during the National Assembly elections. So that is not true either. There were allegations that the judiciary is being put into jeopardy or into ridicule. We were able to prove that neither of the two candidates went before any court. It was an illegal organization supposedly being sponsored by the government itself that took matters to court. That has nothing to do with us. There were allegations that large sums of money were spent, 2.1 billion naira. That was not true. I've denied it. The other candidate has denied it. In any case, there is no upper limit to the expenditure that can be incurred by any candidate in the presidential election or in any election under the law of Nigeria. All these are just trumped up charges, excuses as it were, not reasons.
What message do you have, as a last question, to your teeming supporters across the country?
That there is plenty of hope, that there's no doubt at all that the president and the military government will leave office on the 27th of August. And there might be need to meet and discuss some details. And I'm always ready and willing to discuss details. This is not a civilian versus military situation. The preponderant majority of the Nigerian military and their family voted overwhelmingly for me in the last election. So there was no question of the military. There are quite a few, just a few officers who probably are unhappy about the changes. We will give them all the assurances they need. There is room for every Nigerian, especially the top officers who have been trained at tremendous cost to the taxpayers of Nigeria. The list of people which people have alleged have been prepared by me for dismissal or retirement is not true. I have no such list. We need all the soldiers we have in the Nigerian army, especially the senior ones who have been trained at considerable cost to the taxpayers of our country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, Chief Abiola, I'd like to confirm the kind of relationship you have now with the president.
President Babangida is a friend. If you look at the house, take a snapshot of all the pictures in the house, you will find more of his pictures in my house than my own pictures. We've been friends for over 20 years, very, very close friends. There have been quite a lot of efforts made by some people to create some friction between us. This is a very trying period, but friendship is made to last and be passed from one generation to the other. I believe that will be the case in our situation too. These are temporary difficulties. The nation is passing through it. The armed forces, some of them are passing through it. But we will not allow that to affect our relationship.
How do you react then to his comment today that he has no apology for what he has done?
I don't know who is asking him to apologize. Is anybody asking him to apologize? See, a leader does what he believes is the best thing to do in a given circumstance. But a leader, when he has superior facts, can change his mind. That won't amount to apology. And nobody's asking him to. I'm not. Are you?
Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm just asking you. I mean, in what context was that statement made, if I may ask?
It was in the news today. I think reviewing the whole the situation and saying that he stands firmly by what he's done. Perhaps has a wind of what the SDP's position is.
Well, I'm not asking him to apologize. I'm just asking that in the light of the popular mandate of the Nigerian people, as a Nigerian too, and as a leader of Nigeria, he should think again. That is all. I'm not asking for apology. In fact, that is not required.
Are there any other views you want to put across?
Well, you know, this is a very, it is not always every time that the changeover of government from military to civilian goes as clockwork as that of Obasanjo to Ejishewu Shagari. It could be difficult in some instances, but maturity is required to deal with it, experience is required, and patriotism is required on both sides. Yes. That will not be lacking by the grace of God on this occasion too. Certainly not on this side.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Let me push my luck, sir, and ask you what you think about the whole situation. Your comments.
Which of the situations? Because we are
in the political impasse.
Well, we have two situations on hand.
Today's and the general one.
Okay, the general one is there has been an expression of the people's will as required by the law, as the law stood at the time. And that doesn't seem to me to call for any kind of crisis. I think it's a situation that can be resolved in 1 hour by completing the counting of the votes and proclaiming the victor. 1 hour.
What do you think about today's demonstration of solidarity?
Well, I say that in any modern society, the people have a right and a duty, not just a right, to express the popular will by popular action, provided it's peaceful. And throughout the political history of Nigeria, we've had that under all regimes. There have been marches, demonstrations, all sorts, so long as it's peaceful. It's a people's right. In this case, it's a double right. The people are insisting that the law should be obeyed. What can be better than that? The people are insisting that the law made by the outgoing regime should be obeyed. It's quite simple.
What are your views about a national government being put in the air now?
Well, we made a statement this morning that the victor has a duty to the nation to try and unify the nation. And in this case, Chief Abiola said quite clearly, even before any problems arose, that he thinks that he will call upon the resources of the country, whichever party they belong to help us out of the very serious economic and social conditions under which we labor at the moment.
Just how far are you willing to go on this national government issue?
I will go very far. I will look anywhere, everywhere, for the best Nigerians to solve our problems. Both Nigerians in America, Nigerians in the UK, they're all being asked to make contributions. Some of them will have to sacrifice their big foreign income in order to be able to bail out Nigeria. And they are ready, they are willing. Most of our doctors who have gone abroad are ready to come back home, are willing to come back home. Most of the lecturers in the university who have been on strike are saying that immediately the election result is declared, we will go back without any condition and wait for the solution of their problem by my government when we settle down. That is the enormous amount of goodwill we have.
How would you react to a scenario being painted by some political analysts that if care is not taken, we might just have a government from the Niger north and another government down south?
No, nothing like that will happen. Nigeria is a federal republic to remain by the grace of God, indivisible, indissoluble, sovereign republic under God, by the grace of God. It will be a federal republic. Part of the problem is that it's always very difficult to ensure federalism under the centralist military government. But that will change. You had it very recently. Orders being given by the military president of the country to the governors of the state. That is not in accordance with our constitution. Maybe the problem arose because we allowed this diarchy. Because what we have now is a diarchy. We have the civilian regime everywhere else, but having a military head. The body is civilian, the head is military. It is this funny animal that we have at the moment that is giving difficulties to everybody. Nobody seems to know what to call it. If you look at the head, you see the military. If you look at every other part of the body, you see civilian. What is it? Is this a civilian government we have now or military? I think it's a quasi-military concussion of governance. And it is this type of thing that has created that. But quite candidly, that is the thing. People don't realize that what we are talking about is the changeover of that head, the movement of the head, so that we have a full civilian government in Nigeria. Every soldier is gone. Sometimes you don't remember that. But every soldier has practically left the government, except the president alone. And that is why it is so where the president himself becomes the umpire in a case in which is directly involved, the only one involved, you can see the problem of objectivity there. I think, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very strange animal, right?